Have you ever wondered why, despite years of studying English, you're still struggling to speak with that clear pronunciation that you've always wanted? Maybe you want to speak in a modern British RP accent like I'm speaking with or that I teach, or maybe it's a different accent. But if you're still wondering why you haven't got to that level of pronunciation, you're not alone. And in today's lesson, we're going to dive into a very specific sound that many learners find challenging, and I'll show you exactly how to master it using what I call the accent rewiring method. And that method that I teach you today will help you when you approach other sounds towards mastering a modern British RP accent, or whatever accent you want to master. My name is Roy Woodhouse, and I'll be your guide through this journey. Now, a bit about myself. I was born in a city called Nottingham, and I was raised on the beautiful Isle of Wight way down south. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, for the first 6 years of my life, I grew up in Derby, and I had a very broad, very thick Derbyshire accent when I moved to the Isle of Wight. And I really wanted to speak with the local accent. So I begged my mother, please help me change my accent. And my mother actually sent me to somebody who trained me to speak with a modern received pronunciation, this accent that you're listening to now. Now, with over a decade of experience teaching at renowned language schools in places like London, Cambridge, including St Giles and Stafford House, I have helped thousands of students master British English pronunciation, and my time at the BBC with BBC Learning English further honed my skills and dedication to helping learners from all corners of the world. And as I said, I have also been on that journey, changing my accent from a Derbyshire accent to a modern received pronunciation. And I'm here today to share with you the secrets of mastering a British accent. Let's talk about why so many people struggle with pronunciation even after years of study. Now, many students believe that language learning is a kind of passive process, a bit like osmosis, that they'll just sit there and they will just get the language, they will get the pronunciation. They think that simply being exposed to the language will make them fluent and is enough. And while that might be true for young children who are creating their own neural pathways, it can be a very different story for adults. When you're a child, your brain is like a sponge, and it allows you to build new neural pathways from scratch, allowing you to just absorb language effortlessly. Now, neural pathways are basically connections in their brain, and they link one part of the brain to another. If you imagine, they're like roads in a city. And to really make the most of the accent rewiring method, we need to learn how to make new neural pathways. Now, as we grow older, our brains become more efficient, which sounds like a good thing, and they often take shortcuts by using neural pathways that we've already learned. So in your first language, when you were a child, you created a series of neural pathways, a series of connections which linked to specific sounds. And as you got older and decided to learn a second language, you continued using these neural pathways from your first language to try and speak in your second language, which is why some sounds sound completely different, or some sounds may sound slightly off. I've made a whole video about how my wife was saying ka instead of car. The vowel sound was slightly off, but she was using something, she's a Brazilian, she was using something from Portuguese to speak in English, a certain neural pathway, and I helped her to change that to sound more like a modern British RP pronunciation of the R vowel sound. I've made a whole video about this, and as I said, it's something that she wanted to achieve. This idea of still using your original neural pathways from your first language to speak in your second language is the very reason why so many people, even people who've been living in the UK for years, struggle when speaking English and often retain a strong accent. Now, after a certain age, language learning a language, it's not a passive process. It requires a very active approach. And this is why I'm going to introduce something that I call the accent rewiring method. Now, this is something that I use very heavily on my course, the Ultimate British Pronunciation Guide. And today I'm going to teach you one technique to learn two different sounds, but I go into far more detail. However, I do need to say that if you do want to improve your modern British RP accent, then I have something for you. On the 16th 17th and 18th of September, not long now, I'm going to be teaching a free 3-day workshop talking about pronunciation, modern British RP accent, accents of the UK, connected speech, and so much more. If you want to join that free 3-day pronunciation workshop, all you need to do is click on the link in the description below, join an exclusive WhatsApp group where you'll be sent links to the classes. And as I said, it's 3 days, it's free, and it's completely online, and I look forward to seeing you there. So going back, how do we overcome the challenge of our brains using those original neural pathways? Well, the solution lies in something that I call the accent rewiring method. Now, my surname is Woodhouse. I often joke with my wife, we could call it WARM. The Woodhouse accent rewiring method, WARM. I think it sounds cool. But let's not be too cheesy, let's just call it ARM. So how can we learn with ARM, or the accent rewiring method? Now, our brains are smart and they are economical with effort, but with the right method, we can rewire our neural pathways to master a new accent, not just fake a new accent, but to absolutely master it. The accent rewiring method makes the most of the science of neuroplasticity, and it's about creating new neural connections, and in the case of the accent that I teach, a modern British RP accent. This active learning process ensures that you develop a clear, fluent, and natural British accent. Now, one of the most challenging sounds for a non-native speaker to master in British English is the TH sounds. In fact, there are two main TH sounds. Think about the words think, as in th, and this. These sounds don't exist in many languages, so it's common for learners to substitute the th with s. So instead of saying think, they may say sink, or instead of th, they may say z. So instead of this, they may say zis. And this, of course, can lead to miscommunication. So the first step of the accent rewiring method is to learn exactly how to make the sounds. You need to make sure that you're putting your tongue, your mouth, your lips, everything in the correct position. If you put it in the incorrect position and practice, what you're actually doing is fossilizing a mistake. So the first step is to make sure that you are making the sounds correctly. So let's talk about the first TH sound, the voiceless TH sound. Now, to make this sound, we put the tip of our tongue, this thing, just lightly pressed on the top teeth, like this. It's not too far, it's not like this. It's not in, it's here. And then what we do is we blow air through the gap. One big mistake that a lot of learners make is that they build too much pressure and then they release in this kind of explosive sound like you don't have to spit the sound out. This, of course, is the voiceless TH, so we're not using our vocal cords. When you put your finger here, making this sound, you shouldn't feel any vibration. And in contrast, the voiced TH is exactly the same position, tip of the tongue on the top teeth, blowing the air gently through those teeth, through that gap there, not building too much pressure, but this time using the vocal cords. Now, once we've mastered the position of our mouths and we know exactly the sound that we're making, how to produce the airflow, how to release the air, and so on, it's then the second step of the accent rewiring method. We need to practice that sound. A great way to do this is to stand in front of the mirror and just and remember, if you have spit all over your mirror, you're probably building too much pressure. And of course, if you see it go and it's just quite a blast of air, you're probably building too much pressure. So once we've mastered the position, once we've mastered the individual sounds, let's put them into 2 words to practice, and that is step 3 of the accent rewiring method. So with the voiceless sound, think, think, think. You could record this on your mobile phone and listen back. Think, think, think. You could record a video to check yourself, or you could even just record the audio and listen back. And if it sounds too much like sink, so think or sink, then we know that we have to go back to step 1 and step 2 and practice that sound over and over again. So repeat after me. Think, think, think. If it sounds like think, 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 you're building too much pressure. If it sounds like sink, your tongue or your mouth isn't in the correct position. So now let's practice the voiced sound. This. Notice that both of them are short sounds. They're not this. It's think and this. So repeat after me. This. 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 Record it on your mobile phone, listen back. If it sounds too much like this, you're maybe holding that first sound a little bit too long. If maybe there's a build of pressure, this, you know that you need to reduce the pressure. It's more like air leaking from a small gap in a pipe than it is an explosion. And if it sounds like this, then you know that you've not got your mouth in the correct position to say this sound in a modern British RP accent. And finally, we have step 4, which is to put it into a practice phrase or sentence. We're going to put both of those two sounds a couple of times into one sentence. So here is the sentence. Repeat after me. I think this Thursday will be the best day. I think this Thursday will be the best day. I think this Thursday will be the best day. I think this Thursday will be the best day. I think this Thursday will be the best day. Now, notice how both the voiced and unvoiced TH sounds are used in this sentence. Both of them there. So the unvoiced TH, we have think and Thursday. And in the voiced TH sounds, we have this and the. Practice this sentence over and over again to master those two sounds. Now, remember, the key to mastering a modern British RP accent is consistent practice. It's not just about hearing the sounds, it's about understanding them and practicing them until they become natural. The accent rewiring method is designed to help you do that, to practice in a way that rewires your brain to produce these sounds effortlessly. I hope you found today's lesson insightful and you're excited to start applying the accent rewiring method to your own practice. Now remember, mastering a British accent is a journey, but with the right approach, it's absolutely achievable. In some ways, I often compare it to going to the gym. When you're learning grammar, it's about storing it in your mind, but when you're learning pronunciation, it's about building your muscles, strengthening your mouth, strengthening those muscles like you do in a gym. When you go to the gym on the first day, you're tired. The first day you ever go, you're tired. You're not going to get instant results, but if you keep practicing, training, going to the gym, eventually you get stronger, you strengthen your muscles, and it's exactly the same with pronunciation. If you enjoyed this lesson, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that little bell icon so you don't miss any of my future lessons on mastering British English. And if you have any questions or topics that you'd like me to cover, please drop them down in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next class.